Alrighty, GTA Los Santos Drug Wars has just come out, and I've got to say, this was a lot of fun to play. Now in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down step by step how to complete all 6 missions solo. Now if all goes to plan, you will have earned yourself a Brickade 6x6 so you can start up and own your own acid lab business. Get your guns ready, I'm Claimer, and this is my guide to GTA Los Santos Drug Wars. So when you first load up the game, you're going to receive a phone call from Ron. Ron's going to inform you that vultures are showing up at Sandy Shores since Trevor took off, and he asks if we're free to give him a hand. You'll see an R icon on the map, make your way to that. And once you enter the building, you're going to meet some interesting characters. We have Dax, he's the leader of the group known as the Fooligans. Second in command we have Luchadora, she's a wrestler. We're also introduced to Labrat, he's a chemist and an acid cook.
These crazies, they started their own gang war with the Lost.
Speaking of the devil, the Lost show up, and here begins our first standoff.
Show me your butthole, fella!
Okay, so the enemy will arrive on foot but also by vehicle. Luckily, these vehicles are relatively easy to blow up. You'll have roughly 10 enemies on the east, but then you have to move location to the north, so go through the building and where you'll find Dax and then find cover. As you can see there are some stray enemies and they will zap your health, so stay under cover, be careful, don't just run out there. So once you've killed roughly 8 enemies, you need to traverse back into the building, head to the south, and keeping your head low will really get you far in this mission.
I checked the GPS, looks like it's across the sea at Miller's Fishery.
So with Dax's vehicle stolen, we need to get it back. Thankfully, it's not a long drive, and of course, conveniently, there is a boat nearby. Now, as with all GTA enemies, they have perfect aim. So don't do what I do and enter in plain sight, because unfortunately enemies can see through trees in this game. So I made a pivot through to the left, and even though it seems there aren't too many enemies here, you will notice they start to spawn in. So the safe option here was to head to the side of the building and slowly lure the enemies in. You can use the car for cover from all angles. The enemy now has higher ground, so a sniper gun will be useful. Once those enemies are clear, just ahead of us is Dax's van. And it might seem like the coast is clear. Take a guess what happens next. So the minute you even approach the van, enemies will spawn behind it and in front. Now, if you do struggle with close combat, there is a blue bin which should offer you sufficient cover. Once you've cleared the area of all threats, jump into the van and head to Dax. Now, there is enough space to navigate past enemy vehicles, but watch your driving, because if you make one crash, these guys can zap your life if you're at a standstill. Once you arrive at Liquor Ace, pick up Dax and head to the abandoned warehouse, which is going to be our new headquarters for any mission related to Dax. Enemies weren't that hard to pick off during this journey, mainly because Dax has a gun and he actually helps out.
This might just be the start of something hot and sexy.
Moving swiftly on to mission 2. So Dax will tell us to head over to the docks because we need to collect some essentials for a welcoming party. You'll need to search around the docks for a truck cab. Here's an example of what one looks like, although for you it might be a different color. So now let's head to the flatbed, attach the truck cab to the flatbed, and now we need to be mindful of the Lost MC, who just so happen to be conveniently lined up where you need to exit. Now we have a couple of options here. We can either drive right through them, just make sure you keep up your momentum, or you can take my alternative route. But either way, the main goal is to stay alive because it seems that this is a triggered event. The truck will go on fire no matter what route you take. I may be wrong, let me know in the comments section, but those events now lead you into a new mission. Since Dax asks us to get revenge and head to the Lost Clubhouse to take pictures of their operations. Now we're doing this solo, so we really have to be strategic with how we enter the building. With that, I'd highly suggest going around the back to the left, take out about 3 or 4 guards, then additionally or alternatively get the higher ground, because from here you can lob grenades and without the need for a wall you can get in and out of cover. Once all is clear, enter the clubhouse and you'll be greeted with 2 enemies on the right. So northeast of the club entrance is where you'll find the plans. Be careful, there are some more enemies on the way. Then simply take a photo and send the picture to Dax. Lastly, Dax will ask you to pick up a bag which you can find on the bar counter, and you will be using that to steal a large stash of weed from the Lost MC. With all items collected, make your way to the exit. Be prepared for more spawning enemies. You can take them out from the front, but I would highly recommend taking the back route so you have more options for cover. do have to be careful here because there are 2 vehicles on exit and the enemies will confront you for close combat. Now, as long as the coast is clear, head back to the freak shop. What do you guys think so far? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know in the comment section. Now, this is where things start to get real tough. Mission 3, Fatal Incursion. We're on our way to Stab City. Now, the plans we previously stole from the Lost uncovered a large shipment of meth which we can also steal from them. But first, we have to destroy their property. Now, I attempted shooting them from afar with a sniper rifle, but enemies will spawn all around you and you'll just end up eating bullets. It was easier to get in close quarters. The goal was pretty simple: navigate around the map, stay in cover, and any barrels or tanks that are in your view, destroy them. Sadly, enemies will just keep on spawning, so it doesn't get any easier. You really have to be on your toes here. Duck and cover just isn't enough. You have to be alert and reactive to any enemies spawning on the map. So always keep an eye bottom left. Okay, once we've destroyed their property, we need to head to Miller's Fishery. Now, you come across the occasional vehicle ahead. It's best to take them out because they will follow you to that property and make things a lot more difficult than they need to be. Now, littered across this highlighted spot are bags of meth which we need to collect. Now, the good thing is they're often grouped in 2s, so we need 10 in total. Now, if you take a look at my map radar, you will see that the enemy spawning is absolutely atrocious. Shame on you, Rockstar. Now, to make finding the meth easy, essentially every building icon on the map radar, 1 or 2 bags of meth can be found. You can enter the second building on the right. It contains 2 bags of meth. I missed one, so don't miss out. The closest building to the docks also contains 2 bags of meth. Now, I bring this up because I kept on collecting 1, not realizing there were 2 in place. Now, the furthest building north to entry point you can enter. Now, upon entry, you will be attacked by a guy holding a spanner. And it's worth noting you're going to have limited line of sight for the guy in the far corner. In this room, you'll find 2 bags of meth, and upon leaving, luckily there were no spawning enemies. And the 2 more bags required could be found at the docks, which is handy because that's where you can access the dodo. So I think it's worth considering your exit route, especially when you're collecting meth earlier on. Now, for anyone who can't land a plane, take a deep breath and just be patient. You need to land the plane within the storm drain. If you struggle with it, just take a few loops until you get it right.
That was a fucking trip!
Well, talking about trips, that leads us into our 4th mission, Uncontrolled Substance. Our new friend Dax is about to go full Bill Cosby.
Are you okay?
By spiking your drink with large quantities of acid. So this mission is basically your initiation into the clique. I'll just cover a few things to look out for. These heavenly gates have 2 entry points left and right. Although it's fine if you hit them, it doesn't seem to change the pace of the game. When flying this bike, click the left stick to boost. In the twirly tunnel, there are some issues with clipping. Your car might get jammed. Just remember the controls are backwards. Left is right, up is down. Whilst chasing the rabbit, unless my aim is absolutely terrible, you're not meant to kill it. And you're on drugs, so just enjoy the trip. On to mission 5, make war, not love. Dax has informed us that we have new competition. Hippies in the business of selling acid, and it's our key objective to take them out.
Destroy every piece of equipment in those tents!
Now, of course, these guys are hippies. According to Rockstar logic, they are trained assassins. The 4 icons on the map represent where you can destroy the lab equipment. It's safer to use grenades, but you might have to use 2 because there are 2 fuel barrels in different parts of the tent, and 1 grenade might not do the job. Okay, so once we've destroyed all the lab equipment here, we need to steal a hippie van because that will give us the GPS to find 3 other vans carrying shipments. So once you destroy the final shipment, Dax will let you know there is another final shipment. We need to head to the altruist camp. It's a 3-mile journey and these hippies are going to be with you the whole way. They are relentless. Make sure you don't drive right past them, kill them because they will keep on chasing you. So once we get to the camp, we need to be really strategic here because there are 3 vans to destroy. I made a choice to drive to the higher ground because it didn't look like there were that many enemies on site. But of course, they all spawned around me the minute I entered, so I was in a bit of trouble. So I would recommend starting from the bottom and working your way up. However, if you can avoid being a bullet sponge, there is an advantage to destroying these vans from up top. And of course, it's at this point that we realize the hippies own a Valkyrie. You have to take cover because this thing will just zap your health away. And as you can see, it takes a lot of firepower to take this thing down. And it's very likely the health has not been optimized for solo play. So with that said, cover is a necessity. After destroying the Valkyrie, you need to leave the camp, but it's not easy because the game will spawn about 20 different enemies at you all at once. Make sure to find an empty space to zoom through, and we're now one mission away from completion.
Phase 2 is underway. We just need a couple more things to get this show on the road.
The mission 6 finale, off the rails. Dax needs us to get professional grade chemicals to get our acid business in full operation, so we have to steal them from the Humane Lab. Now that we've arrived at Humane Lab, you'll see on the radar that there is a keypad that we need to access. We don't have to do this in stealth, but that's my choice. Take out the first security cam with a silencer. Now head to the right, stay close to the wall and look out for the second camera to take out. Make your way up the stairs and you'll see a security guard moving back and forth. Now I waited until he was out of sight so as not to alert the other guards. However, that didn't go to plan. Now with all defenses on high alert, I was expecting to be flooded with enemies, but luckily only roughly 4 or 5 more enemies will spawn. But that's not to say it's easy. You still have to watch your back, and these guys require a lot of bullets to kill. Now keep an eye out for a nifty security guard above the key card here. And also be wary of spawned enemies coming from behind. Take out the remaining guards up front and you'll automatically enter the pin. There's no puzzle required. Now once you enter, take note of both paths on the radar, otherwise... Now somehow I survived that, but the point is you have to take note of both directions. This will be tough. Remember, we're playing solo and the mission has been clearly designed for multiple players to cover your back. Now once you're in, turn left and you will find an inventory manifest. Here you need to take a photo and then we need to collect 5 chemical bottles which can be found within various crates. Always be alert, there may be enemies lurking still, but the crates are of the same shape. Don't forget about the crate by the stairs, it's somehow hard to notice. Now at this point Dax will have a new plan. We have to stop a train carrying more chemicals, but the mission will fail if we don't reach the switching station in time. Now at this point I did take a look at the map and I could see that the train was moving fast. So with time being of the essence, I decided to take a shortcut through the hills. Now crazy enough, the train seemed to still be close by, so perhaps it is pre-programmed. If anyone knows, let me know in the comment section. When you leave the switch station, do be careful, there are enemies to the right. And before we make our way to the train, we need to collect a tool bag which contains a cutting saw and can be found behind the construction site shed. Save every ounce of life and body armor you can because it's about to get much tougher. Now the train crash site is roughly half a mile away. If you do see military helicopters, it's worth taking them out from afar. Now once you arrive, start searching from the beginning and work your way up. You will find chemicals in the second crate, but the first crate will not be worth your time, it will be empty. Now you'll have to use these doors as cover because the spawn wars have begun and these guys have no mercy. Now on the second carriage, the third crate is empty, but the fourth does contain chemicals. Now if you've made it this far, get on the third carriage and open up both containers. Clear as many enemies as possible before reaching the fourth carriage. The seventh container has no chemicals and you'll find the final chemicals in container number 8. Now excuse the lack of enemies, I spent 20 minutes killing them, but there it is, the Brigade 6x6. Now the minute you approach it, you're going to be swarmed by enemies. And watch how quickly my life disappears. Twice. So at this stage I actually panicked and I ran up the hill so I could find cover in the military vehicle. Luckily, that's the final horde, so once you kill them, you can finally take that bad boy home and it's almost clear roads ahead. You see, at this point, I didn't have any snacks or body armor, and if you're in the same predicament, make sure you kill everything on sight at a distance. Don't take any risks driving by enemies. And I know you guys recognize this road, that means we the best, man. We did it. If you want to support my new channel, all you have to do is leave a like and possibly leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the video. We now own our own Brigade 6x6, which can be upgraded with a lab to manufacture and sell acid. Alright guys, well thanks for watching. Listen, if you like my channel, make sure to subscribe and also share it to other people you know who love GTA. Leave a like, and I think you'll like these videos too, so check them out. Until then, have a great weekend. Peace.